This is the rhythm that we rock to, rock to. All I gotta do is live my life. I know the way to heaven for sure. Come see me and I can give you a tour.
So I've been using the iPhone Air, and every time I take it out, it's always the exact same question. How's the battery? Because that was supposed to be like the one thing that was going to destroy this phone, right? It's too thin, it's too small. There's no way it's going to last. But battery isn't the iPhone Air's problem. It's actually not even close. The real issue is something that I did not see coming. I'm still trying to figure out who this phone is actually for. So Apple made its thinnest iPhone ever, right? It's 5.6 millimeters. They gave it a single camera, the smallest battery in the lineup, and they're charging $999 for it. Every single decision should have resulted in the new iPhone mini. A phone that people love in theory, but no one's actually buying. And I cannot figure out the phone itself and what that makes me, or if Apple actually pulled off something remarkable here, because I cannot recommend this phone to most people. Now, if you want a detailed spec by spec comparison of the Air and the 17 Pro, I did a full video of that and I'll link it down below, but this video is about living with the Air. This feels like what a 2025 iPhone is supposed to feel like. And I was not prepared for how much that would matter to me. The thinness, it's intoxicating, I guess. Every time I pick it up, there's a moment where my brain goes how is this an entire phone? Then I picked up my old 16 Pro Max the other day and felt like I was holding a phone from 10 years ago. There is one weird side effect though of being this thin though. The camera control button is legitimately hard to find sometimes. Your finger just kind of glides right past where you think it should be. I think it probably would have been better to raise it up like the volume buttons. You can actually feel it. The materials here, the polished titanium, feel incredible. Everyone's losing their mind over aluminum on the Pros this year, and that's cool. But titanium is something else. And it's kind of premium feel it's hard to describe without sounding like I just chugged Apple's marketing Kool-Aid. But I'm telling you, it is real. Break from talking about phones for a second. Tell you about this video sponsor, Ugreen. Probably heard of Ugreen, they're everywhere. If you are constantly running out of iCloud storage or you're tired of paying the monthly fees just to keep your photos backed up, the Ugreen NAS Sync DH2300 is your boo. It is exactly what you need. It's basically, and it is, your own personal cloud. No monthly fees, no storage limits you didn't agree to, and you actually own your data, which is a huge thing here. It can handle up to 60 terabytes of storage, which by my math is enough for 20 million photos or 40,000 movies. The setup is also insanely simple. Even if you've never touched a NAS before, get this thing up and running in about 10 minutes. It automatically backs up your iPhone photos in the background, so you don't have to ever think about it. Because everything is stored locally on your network, transfers are insanely fast. About 125 megabytes per second over a gigabit Ethernet port. So a 1 gigabyte file moves in seconds, so you don't get that crawl you get when uploading to iCloud. What's cool though is you can tap your phone against it using NFC and you are instantly connected to. You don't have to type in an IP address or messing with router settings. Also, an app gives you a bunch more smart features, things like automatic photo backup, cloud drive tools, and a ton more. It also uses RAID redundancy, so even if one of the drive fails, your data stays safe. If you want to learn more about this, and this is something that everybody can use, hit the link down below. The display is generally impressive, 6.5 inches, and I think that's the Goldilocks size for me and maybe most people. Not too big like the Pro Max, not too small. It's OLED, it's got ProMotion at the 120 hertz refresh rate. Pretty much zero compromise here. It's same quality display you get the Pro models, aside for some brightness stuff. Scrolling is smooth, colors look great, brightness is excellent. Apple did not cheap out on the screen to make this thing thin, and that absolutely matters. And that premium feel, that thinness at display is the entire reason why this phone exists, which is why, and to tell you something that might save you $1,000, if you are going to put a case on this phone, I don't think you should buy it. And I mean that. The entire point of this device is the thinness. Once you wrap it under rubber or plastic, you just bought a worse battery life and fewer cameras and essentially the same footprint as every other iPhone. At that point, I think you wasted $200 because a regular iPhone 17 exists and it's probably better for you. I knew this phone was more durable than it looks. I think we all saw Zach's video just torturing the heck out of that thing. My stress test, I kept it in my back pocket and just kept sitting on it. I sat on this phone expecting it to eventually form to the shape of my big butt, but nothing happened. It still looks brand new. Did fall out of my gym shorts twice onto hardwood floor. Nothing on it, not even a scuff. The build quality, I think, is legitimately some of the best work Apple's done. And I've been pretty harsh on the recent design choices in the past. This phone somehow feels more durable than my 16 Pro Max, which is wild because it's objectively like more fragile. So there's something about how they engineered this that like just works, as opposed to my aluminum 17 Pro Max, which took a single spill on concrete. So I think I'd probably recommend just going AppleCare as like a case, to be honest, to get the protection without kind of ruining what makes this phone special. All right, so battery life, everybody expected this to be the biggest disaster here, myself included. And the battery is definitely worse than other iPhones. I hit like ish 20% every single day. With my 16 Pro Max, that happened on heavy use stage. So it's definitely worse, but it's not the biggest problem with the phone. So I take it off the charger around 8:30 in the morning, let's say, and I've got a MagSafe stand at my desk. I top off in the car. I opted to not buy Apple's $100 battery pack because if I needed that, what's the point of having such a thin phone? Now I do want to get this out of the way that I do get battery anxiety with my phones. I get below 40% and I'm looking for a charger. So on paper, this was going to be an absolute disaster for me. Going through a full day, 15-20%, which is about the same, I think, as most people in the studios, looking at other people here, that got with their 16 Pro usage last year. Because I took advantage of pit stop and charging the car, plugging in while I was working, I did not have battery issues. And looking at actual screen time data over the past week, I was hitting between 5 and 7 hours of screen on time. My heaviest day, I got 7 hours and 6 minutes. Without those pit stops, I would be in trouble. But I also know that plug-in sporadically is not a real battery test. So I went an entire day without charging it. I faced my battery anxiety. And that 15-20% that I had at the end of the day, again, to clarify, was with those charging stops. If I didn't have access to sporadic charging, I don't think I would trust this phone to get through an entire day. If you are not a battery lunatic like I am, probably just not worry about it. Enjoy your crazy thin phone. Battery life was better than I expected because I expected it to be absolutely horrendous, but it is still in no shape or form like a full day phone. One recommendation though, if you do want to get the most out of your battery life, do a clean setup of the phone. Don't restore from a backup. I know it's a huge pain to set that up from scratch, but memory leaks or just errors and years old backups do not do battery life any favors. Start fresh if battery matters to you. That's a really good recommendation for not just this phone, but kind of any iPhone. I want to give a real world battery example. I know it's like a fringe case, something to sort of keep in mind. One of the guys in the studio, they have about a year-old baby, and they had to rush him to the emergency room for some issues that were going on. And Ralph, whose son this is, took his iPhone Air with him, just middle of the day, off to the emergency room. Didn't take a battery case with him, or didn't take a battery pack, didn't take a charger. In a situation like that, where you're constantly on your phone, you're giving updates, you're talking to family, you're not gonna get through a whole day. And it was something that really stressed him out, because that was his way of communicating with different doctors that were in the hospital, pediatricians, his family, and the battery life going lower and lower and lower did not exude battery confidence. Fringe case, something to definitely kind of bear in mind if you're gonna be away from a charger for a while. So the main 48 megapixel camera, I do want to say I think is very solid. And even lighting, I think it does this very processed, very flat HDR look that looks decent, but I'm not crazy about it. Outside of the real contrast, I thought the pictures looked really good. Quality-wise, it is right there with other iPhones. The problem though is what's missing. No ultra wide. I think that one hurts because the regular iPhone 17 has one. 17 Pro has one, just the Air doesn't. And no telephoto lens. And that is an even bigger one for me personally. My weekends are spent at baseball fields and soccer fields and constantly trying to capture moments from the stand in the back of an auditorium. I live with my telephoto lens. I pick phones based on what has the best zoom. That's usually my #1 priority. So I knew going into this, that would probably be a deal breaker for me. This phone, I knew, could not do what I needed it to do. The 2x crop is borderline useless for anything beyond a few feet away. We're trying to get a shot of your kid on stage or across soccer field, it falls apart crazy fast. The images get soft, details get super mushy, end up with photos that look fine on your screen, but then fall apart the second you look at them on anything bigger. So with the pro models, I can get like those tight, sharp shots from the bleachers all the time. Faces are clear, expressions are visible, like the moment is just very clearly captured. With the Air, like I'm getting wide shots where my kid is kind of a very small figure in the frame, and obviously I can crop it in post, but I'm working with a super degraded image quality from a digital zoom. And that's the difference between getting the shot and just getting a shot. That's just okay. I'm filming this video on a Tuesday. The previous Saturday, I was watching my 6-year-old play soccer, just shout out to the Demon Hunters. And there were plenty of times where the photos do look absolutely incredible. And more to say, they look like they're shot with a new iPhone. When she's standing right in front of me, these look like shots from the 17 Pro. Highlights look great, colors are vibrant, the trees and the sky behind her look slightly punchy but really good. Even without a wide angle, I can get this shot of all 3 of my kids pretty easily. Where things fall apart for me though, we're trying to get any decent shot of her in the field. So here's the standard focal length, here's 2x, and then here's what fell apart. I did a 5x digital zoom just to keep it consistent with what was on the Pro. Zoom might not matter to you at all, but if it does, this is likely a deal breaker. So here's a picture of Nate on the mound. I was standing on a third baseline, not that far away, and it looks like he is a mile away from me. Here's the 5x shot, looks okay, but as I zoom in and see details on his face, it's not like oil painting levels of distortion, but like it's not great. And I don't wanna like push this point too hard, but to be equal opportunity here to both of my kids, here's my middle son, Zach, at first base. And again, I'm on the third baseline. He looks so far away. And at 5x, I think you get the point. But I will say, if you want to take pictures of normal photos of, let's say, 2 dummy dogs, the camera does work great for those. For my specific use case, camera limitations aren't just annoying, they're disqualifying. I'm either accepting that I'm gonna miss moments, or I'm carrying a second phone to games and recitals. And if I'm doing that, what's the point? Video quality is, I think, what you'd expect from an iPhone, which is to say it's pretty great. Probably still close to industry leading. Highlight retention is solid, stabilization works well. If you're shooting standard video on the Air versus the 17 or 17 Pro, hard pressed to tell a difference. So for video quality example, and for no proud dad reason at all, here's Zach smacking a shot to right field. Probably should have stayed on first base, but he did stretch it out into a double. It is still an iPhone for video, which means it's still really good. It's just not the best that Apple has to offer. But I did want to talk to someone else who bought an iPhone Air on launch day and uses it every day. As I mentioned earlier, my friend Ralph has been daily driving this thing again since day one. And he hit a limitation that I never considered. He had to take photos of his son's Riley's toes for medical documentation. Doctor wanted to see what the nail beds looked like. No macro mode on these phones mean that half of his photos came out blurry. You have to hold the phone way further back than is natural and then kind of crop it in post. It's annoying in a way that makes you kind of question why you're dealing with it. The front-facing camera, the best selfie camera Apple's ever shipped, 18 megapixel center stage with that square design. You can hold it vertically or shoot in landscape. The quality is fantastic and it just works. And I generally don't understand why it took Apple this long to do this. Performance-wise, A19 Pro is a beast, surprise, surprise. Here are the Geekbench scores, if you care. The Air seems like it's being throttled a little bit in testing. I'm imagining it's to manage thermals in such a thin chassis. But the big thing, an actual use case, you're not gonna notice any of those scores at all. And Geekbench, I think, means absolutely nothing, especially when you're benchmarking Apple's processors. Scrolling is smooth, gaming works great. For everything you actually do with your phone on day-to-day, this feels almost identical to the Pro models. The benchmarks tell one story, but real experiences tell a really different one. I have noticed though, one caveat there, an occasional weird lag or things get jittery, almost like the phone is throttling to save battery. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's noticeable. So bear that in mind. When you are doing something intensive, the camera plateau on the back can get uncomfortably warm, but the actual problem with this phone, the thing that bugs me constantly, the speaker. Not the volume, but the quality. The phone's got a single speaker at the top. No bottom speaker, no stereo, almost no bass. When you flip it to landscape, it sounds crazy unbalanced because the audio is coming from just one side. don't mean slightly worse, I mean noticeably bad and constantly worse. Every video you watch on your phone, you are aware of it. There is no depth at all to sound. Music has no body to it. Phone calls sound fine, FaceTime sounds fine, but speakerphone, I hit the volume constantly and it still feels like it can keep going. The lack of stereo also means there's no spatial separation at all. Everything is just coming from you at one point at the top of the phone. Now I did, in all fairness, get used to it after a few weeks. So here's where I land. The iPhone Air is a phone for almost nobody. You have to know like exactly what you're signing up for. You know the limitations going in, right? If you know it's got a single camera, you know it doesn't have wide angle, you know it doesn't have telephoto, single camera with no telephoto or ultra wide, knew that. Worse battery than the other options, knew that. Speaker sounds like garbage? Okay, I didn't know that one, but now you do. If you can live with all of that, this phone is genuinely special. And I get it because I make this exact trade-off with my MacBook Air. And that's the whole deal. And for me, that trade-off is worth it every single day. iPhone Air is the same philosophy. If that resonates with you, if you're the type of person who values design and feel of respected superiority, you're going to absolutely love this thing. It feels like the future in a way I haven't felt from an iPhone in years. It's exciting. It makes every other iPhone, quite frankly, just feel outdated. The regular iPhone 17 at $799 is probably what most people should be buying. Pro motion, great camera, solid battery, even throw it in a case without feeling like you defeated the purpose of the phone. 17 Pro at about $1,100, only $100 more than the Air, and gives you everything. Complete camera system, better battery, dual speakers. But the Air is clearly not trying to win on specs or value. This is Apple, I think, making a statement, proving they can still do something that makes people go like, whoa, that's new and exciting. And I think they're setting up for next year's iPhone Fold with this design language. And I really hope Apple sticks with the Air and keeps making it for generations to come. By the time we get to generation 2 or 3, when the cameras catch up and they figure out speaker situation, it's probably gonna be the perfect phone. And this could be the phone that everybody wants. I am not keeping this phone as my daily phone long term. I need that telephoto for my kids' games. I get battery anxiety on long days. And the speaker thing legitimately bugs me more than I thought it would. But I am really glad this phone exists because for the first time in a long time, an iPhone surprised me. And in a market where everything feels iterative and safe, that matters more than I thought it would. The iPhone Air is the right phone for almost nobody. But if you are that somebody and you want to feel excited about a phone again, you could accept its very specific compromises, this is the most interesting phone Apple's done in years. And every time you pick it up, guarantee you have a smile on your face.